What is up, guys? Pastor Matheny here, and thank you for joining me once again this afternoon in my study. So I was reading this morning, and I just so happened to be in Isaiah chapter 61, which is a chapter I've read I don't know how many times. But I was reading it, and I read verse 10. And verse 10 really stuck in my mind, and for some reason, it just created an image for me. So I thought I would share that with you this afternoon. Here is Isaiah 61, verse 10. I will greatly rejoice in the Lord. My soul shall exult in my God, for he has clothed me with the garments of salvation. He has covered me with the robe of righteousness. As a bridegroom decks himself like a priest with a beautiful headdress, and as a bride adorns herself with her jewels. So I read this again, and like I said, it struck an image with me, and I'm not sure why I hadn't put these two things together before, but it made me think of, well, hang on just a second. I'll just show you. There we go. Much better. So in verse 10, it talks about how God has clothed me with garments of salvation. And it just made me think about the garments that I wear as your pastor, that God has clothed me with these beautiful things, that he's made me stand out by the things that he's given me to wear. So you've probably heard, the cassock, in my case, the black undergarment shows my sin, but it's covered up with this, the surplice, the white garment that he's given me and clothed me with in baptism. But then additionally, he's put his stole upon me, the yoke or the burden of Christ. And even these, you can see, are beautifully, if I do say so myself, embroidered with symbols of God and of his church. And I wear around my neck, as you guys all know, a crucifix. The very cross of Christ with our Savior himself remaining on that cross to show us what he's done for us. So God has marked me and set me apart as a pastor by way of these garments, garments of righteousness that he has clothed me with, this robe of righteousness that he's given me, not just in my baptism, but in my ordination. But then I was thinking about these things that I wear, and it made me think of something else. So, I guess I'll just show you those things too. Give me 1 second. So, I am up here now in the sanctuary, as you can well see, right here. And again, this is what Isaiah 61 had me thinking about, verse 10 especially, where it's talking about God clothing us with his righteousness. Because it says, actually, that God clothes us with a robe of righteousness as a bride adorns herself with her jewels. And so it made me think about the fact that it's not just me as a pastor who God has given this robe of righteousness to, and it's not even just to us as individual Christians that God has given us this robe of righteousness, but in fact, he adorns his church as a bride adorns herself with jewels. That is why we often talk about the church as the bride of Christ. And so even though, with some respect, our sanctuary is kind of plain, it's a little austere, but even so, even then, we still have beautiful things that we have adorned our sanctuary with to remind us of these jewels of righteousness that Christ has adorned his church with. So we have this great stained glass window, for goodness sake. I mean, look at it. It's beautiful. It's humongous. Lines the whole wall. Even more than that, over here, of course, we've got a great stone pulpit and altar, which we adorn with these great woven pyramids, again, showing imagery of Christ and his church. We have beautiful candlesticks and lights and all sorts of symbols that remind us of this robe of righteousness that Christ has adorned his bride, the church, with now and forevermore. So thanks for coming with me on this little walk this morning. I appreciate you guys joining me for all of this. This is just what I was thinking about this morning with regards to Isaiah 61 verse 10. I hope it was useful to you. May Christ bless your day, and I'll see you again soon. Peace. Bye.